Today we're going to look at the great idea that the Bible would call justification. Let me just give you a simple definition. Justification is when God works alone on our behalf. When we don't contribute to what happens in our lives, many times when we did not even ask for it and anticipated, that God literally reaches down, picks us up, sets us on our feet, and it's all a free gift of His grace that comes to us. What a wonderful thing. We recognize that He does that for us when we get saved. We come out of a life of sinfulness, we come out of a life of selfishness, and we recognize that we bring nothing to the table. And so nearly everyone that's a Christian would recognize that God has justified him, that God did it, and we had very little to do with it except to believe that He would do what He promised. It's a classic passage in Paul's writing in Romans chapter 5 about justification. It says, while we were weak, and while we were ungodly, and while we were sinners, and while we were literally enemies of the cross of Christ, that God justified us through the gift of Jesus. What a glorious passage. There's a sweet picture of it in John chapter 5 where a man that is paralyzed has been lying by a pool for many years, waiting perhaps just to get into the pool so he might be healed. And Jesus notices him and walks up on him and asks him if he'd like to be healed. And then just simply speaks to the man and tells him to take up his mat and walk. And the man, in our eyes, could have been seen as irresponsible. He didn't work hard to get in the water. He'd been lying there a long time. He didn't call for Jesus to come. And yet Jesus came and brought healing to his life. And so we celebrate today that God works in our lives in times and in ways that we've never even requested. We can see that most clearly when we get saved, but so often as Christians we fail to recognize that all along the way God works on our behalf so many times, offering us the free gift of His grace and His activity in our lives when we've done nothing to deserve it. We don't often even request it, and we see Him reaching down, picking us up again, putting us on our feet, and giving us the grace to walk with Him in a brand new day. It's a beautiful message and a great hope for all of us. In these days, may God give you a new confidence that He is at work in your life many times freely without your contribution in any way, stands us up on our feet and gives us the courage to now walk with Him by faith in what He's done in Christ. The glorious message of justification is not just for the moment that we get saved, but it's for all of our walk with Him. Celebrate today the free gift of God's grace in your life, day in and day out. Thank you for taking a few minutes today and joining us for Just the Meat and Potatoes.